Dear students, today we are going to discuss about industry policy in India. Industry policy reflects the socio-economic and political ideology of development. To a large extent, industry policy has dominantly determined the pattern and direction of development of the economy. The Industry Policy Resolution of 1956 was regarded as the base around which other industrial policies were framed. It was therefore regarded by some as the economic constitution of India. And the industry policy is a set of standards and measures set by the government to evaluate the progress of the manufacturing sector that ultimately enhance economic growth and development of the country. So the industry policy is comprehensive and it covers all these procedures, principles, policies, rules and regulations which control the industrial undertakings of a country and thereby shapes the pattern of industrialization. It incorporates fiscal, monetary policies, tariff, labor policy and the government's attitude towards external assistance, public, private, joint, cooperative, small, medium and large scale industries. So the government had tax measures to encourage and improve the competitiveness and the capabilities of various firms. In this section we are going to discuss the objectives of industry policy. Any topic, the objective is very most important one. It is based on objectives the policy is executed. The first and foremost objective is to maintain steady growth in productivity, and the next one is to create more employment opportunities, utilize the available human resources better, and the third one is to accelerate the progress of the country through different means, and the last one is to match the level of international standards and competitiveness. So these are the objectives of the industry policy in India. So in this section, very first and foremost industry policy in India 1948 was introduced by Government of India. The industry policy remained the same in force for 8 years. It had a mixed reaction of the public. According to Professor Kuchal, it was most useful policy. Mindo Masani further observed that this policy laid foundation of democratic socialism, while the leftists felt that the industry policy of 1948 was a reflection of capitalist tradition. They said that there were doubts about the coordination between the public and the private sector. Apart from certain criticism, it was admitted that the pattern of mixed economy laid down by this policy was beneficial for countries' need at that time. So in the industry policy resolutions declared the Indian economy as mixed economy. Small scale and cottage industries were given the much more importance, and the government restricted the foreign investments. So there are the important points comes under the industry policy 1948. The next industry policy resolution of 9 policy is 1956. The industry policy resolution was presented to the Lok Sabha by the Prime Minister on the 30th April 1956. And the main objectives are to accelerate the rate of economic growth and spread up industrialization of the country, and develop heavy industries and machine making industries, expansion of public and cooperative sector, reduce disparities in income and wealth, and encouragement to village and small scale industries. These are the basic objectives framed in industry policy 1956. This policy is also known as the economic constitution of India. At that time, our sectors are classified into 3. Schedule A, which covers the public sector, that comes under 17 industries, comes under this Schedule A. and Schedule B covering a mixed sector. This is public and private comes under 12 industries, and third one is Schedule C comes under only private industries. These are the category schedules framed by Industrial Policy 1956. Here we have to see the next policy is 1977, and the 23rd December 1977, Sir George Fernandez, the Industries Minister, presented a new industry policy statement stating that though 1956 policy is valid only at the result of actual policies in the industrial field have not been up to the expectations of the declared objectives. To promote small and rural entrepreneur and to provide them guidance, the policy involved a district industry center, there is a DIC for each district. The measures such as purchase preference and reservations for exclusive purchase by the government department and the public and sector undertakings will also be used to support the products of small scale units. So this policy majority focused on the decentralization of industries. It gave priority to small scale industries. It created a new unit called a tiny unit, and this policy is imposed restrictions on MNC, the multinational corporations. Also, these are some ideas in the industry policy of 1977. Here we have to discuss about the industry policy statement of 1980. In July 1980, the Congress government announced the new industry policy basing on the fact that industrialization is the sine qua non of economic progress. And the features of new policy were revised the definition of small scale units and regularization of excess capacity and the industry sickness and the promote export. These are the features of the industry policy 1980. The industry policy statement of 1980 addressed the need for promoting competition in the domestic market, modernization, selective liberalization and technological upgradation. Due to this policy, the MRTP Act were introduced. The objective was to liberalize the industrial sector to increase industrial productivity and competitiveness of the industry sector. So the policy laid down the foundation for an increasingly competitive export based and for encouraging foreign investment in high technology areas. So these are some points comes under the industry policy for 1980. So here we have to see the industry policy 1991. The industry policy 1991 marked a big departure from the old policy. The changes were announced in two parts. The first part was announced on 24th July 1991. It was basically concerned with the large industries, including the medium-sized industries. The second part was announced on 6th August 1991, which dealt with small enterprises. So the industry policy reforms were drastic, dramatic and revolutionary. So the important objectives are progressive economy, market orientations, strengthening private sector, dispersal of industries, redefining the role of the public sector, and liberalization of foreign investment and foreign technology agreements, and the MRTP Act, and follow the promoting of small scale industry. These are the objectives of industry policy 1991. In spite of this, the industry policy 1991 roles were important under the liberalization, reduction of government control, and privatization, increasing the role and the scope of private sector, and last one is globalization, that is integration of the Indian economy with the world economy. So industry policy 1991 is more important in the development of Indian economy. And the last part of the class is the review of the public sector under this new industry policy 1991. The industrial policy 1991 brought about certain radical changes. Until 1991, industry policy of India was characterized by a monopoly, and the dominant role was usured to public sector in strategic base and heavy industries, preference for small scale units, cooperative and joint sector. A restrictive attitude towards private sector, foreign capital and technology was done. However, the policy made a bold attempt to free the Indian industry from the shackles of abusive and crippling controls. The policy environment in India was made conducive for both domestic and foreign investments. And development since 1991 have demonstrated the growth and competitive impulses that the liberalization can generate. So the public sector investments and de-reservations industries reserved exclusively for public sector were reduced. Professionalization of management of public sector units, seek public sector units to be preferred to the board for industrial and financial section. The scope of MOU was strengthened as an agreement between public sector units and the concerned ministry. Finally, we can say that concluding point, we can say that the policy, the new policy, though attacks for investment and gave boost to domestic investment, it was doubtful whether it would boost employment and production. Thank you.